Hello and welcome to the Lose Weight, Feel Great Summit. I'm your host, Joanna Peterson, and I'm thrilled to have with us today Dr. Natasha Campbell McBride. She's a medical doctor, an author, a nutritional consultant, and a health educator. She helps thousands of people worldwide. With all that said, welcome, Dr. Natasha Campbell.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm delighted to be here.
Thank you. May I ask you, can you tell me a little bit more about you and how you get into the health and wellness field?
Well, we had illness in the family, and very quickly I've discovered that my own profession had absolutely nothing to offer. So I had to look elsewhere. So I looked at natural methods of treatment and, of course, the diet, of course, the food. And through my experience, I've learned that there is nothing in this world more powerful in terms of human health than food, because we eat at least 3 times a day, or very often we eat, some people eat more often than that, and every morsel of food that you put in your mouth changes everything in your body, your whole metabolism, your hormonal balance, your neurotransmitter balance, your enzymes, the whole thing changes. So food is extremely powerful, immensely powerful. I have been using food as medicine now for 25 years in my practice. And I will tell you that from my clinical experience, I can't think of anything else more powerful than food. No matter what other modality you're trying to use to gain your health, to regain your health, food has to be absolutely fundamental. You have to change your diet. That's the first thing that has to be changed.
I completely agree with you. That's the main thing that makes a shift in our body. So in a medical perspective, since you're a medical doctor, do you get criticized about being more in the alternative field? Do you get a lot of different reviews?
Well, there is a place for every form of healing in this world, and mainstream medicine has a place too. If you got run over by a bus, God forbid, you wouldn't want the ambulance to take you to a homeopath, would you?
You're right.
You will need mainstream medicine, and fast, because they have excellent methods to save our lives when it comes to that, to deal with emergencies, life and death situations. They're very, very good at that. However, when it comes to long-term degenerative chronic conditions, the mainstream doctor is probably the last person you want to go to. First of all, they are not trained to understand what causes your disorder, what the root cause is. Secondly, they don't know what to do and how to help you to really heal from this disorder. All they are trained to do is how to make you more comfortable, to suppress symptoms. But the symptoms is the way your body is calling for help. The symptoms is the way your body is telling you that you're damaging it. How else can your body tell you that you're damaging it? But by giving you pain, inflammation, swelling, limitation of function, discomfort in various places. But what you do when you take painkillers, anti-inflammatory drugs, steroids, or any other medications that the mainstream doctor can give you, you are telling the body, stop calling for help and suffer in silence, while I'll continue destroying you. That's exactly what you do. If that's what you want to do, and it's your choice, of course, then the mainstream doctor can make you quite comfortable while you continue destroying your body. But if that's not your main aim, if you really would like to understand what the root cause is of your disorder and how to actually get rid of it, how to cure yourself, how to heal yourself fully and completely, then you need to go to alternative medicine. You need to look elsewhere, not the mainstream medicine. Because the mainstream doctors are trained to think that if they don't know something, then it's quackery. It doesn't exist.
Well said.
That's right. They're called an endless list of various illnesses incurable. They just call them incurable because they can't help you. The fact that your mainstream doctor doesn't have an answer for you doesn't mean that the answer doesn't exist elsewhere. Just we have a wonderful world of abundant information. You just go online. You will find lots and lots of information immediately from all kinds of quarters from around the world. And that will guide you. The first thing that has to be changed in every illness, every chronic illness, including obesity, including inability to lose weight, is your food, because it is the most powerful modality in changing the human health.
So now, since we're talking about the food, can you tell us a little bit more about the gaps and how you started writing your first book and all the healing modalities that it provides?
GAP stands for gut and psychology syndrome and gut and physiology syndrome. Both abbreviate to the same gaps in the English language. What it basically is, we have a person with abnormal gut flora. Gut flora is a mass of microbes that live inside your digestive system. And it's a highly complex and highly organized microbial world, which is just as beautiful as life on Earth itself. We have viruses there, bacteria, fungi, protozoa, archaea, worms, flukes, all kinds of things living in harmony with each other. They all plant each other, harvest each other, eat each other, control each other, and they do not allow any one of them to get out of control. When they are harmonious like that, they live in a harmonious community, then they are the basis of your good constitution and your good health. Because the recent research has discovered that our gut flora is about 90% of all cells in our human body. 90%. That means that your body is only 10%. It's a shell, a habitat for this mass of microbes that live inside us, and we ignore them at our peril. They reach from the gut, they reach to every organ, every cell, every tissue in the body, to your brain, to your joints, to your muscles, everywhere. And they manufacture a myriad of chemicals, including hormones, neurotransmitters, enzymes, various active molecules. And these chemicals absorb from their activity into your bloodstream, get distributed around the body, and affect every organ, every tissue, everything in your body. So that is the concept of gaps, that every disease begins in the gut. And that's exactly what the father of modern medicine, Hippocrates, said all those thousands of years ago, that all diseases begin in the gut. And the more we learn with our modern scientific tools, the more we realize just how correct he was, indeed. The problem is, in our modern world, majority of people, and a growing proportion of people, have damaged abnormal gut flora. Because every time you take antibiotics, for example, you kill off bacteria, a lot of bacteria. These bacteria were eating and controlling fungi, viruses, protozoa, worms, flukes, parasites, all kinds of creatures. And when they're suddenly gone, then all these creatures are not controlled anymore. They get out of control. So they overgrow and they multiply very fast. They produce babies, trillions of babies every hour. They can multiply extremely fast. And they occupy new niches in your digestive tract, and the whole balance in the gut flora changes, becoming more and more abnormal, more and more pathogenic. The harmony is gone, the balance is gone, and species of microbes which used to be perfectly harmless and even beneficial for you when there was harmony, suddenly become pathogenic. They start causing trouble because they digest the food in their own way, the food that you eat, they digest in their own way and convert it into various chemicals, many of which are poisonous. At the same time, these pathogenic microbes damage the integrity of your gut wall, making it porous and leaky. Literally holes develop in the gut wall. As a result, the food doesn't get the chance to be digested properly before it absorbs. All food that you eat in that situation starts absorbing undigested in lumps and bits and pieces.
Yes.
Then your immune system finds these lumps of food in the bloodstream, looks at them and says, "You're not food. I don't recognize you as food. You're not supposed to get in this shape and form," and attacks these bits of food. And this attack manifests itself as a food allergy or intolerance. If you stop any person on the street nowadays in the modern world and ask them, "Do you have any food allergy?" majority of people will tell you, "Yes, I have.
Yeah.
I can't eat this, and this causes me trouble, and that gives me a rash, and this gives me hay fever, and this gives me a migraine headache."
I'm sorry to interrupt, but with the food allergies, the environmental allergies come on as well at the same time.
Exactly. Yeah. Because your gut wall is like a sieve, and food absorbs undigested. At the same time, that pathogenic flora, that overgrowth of pathogenic microbes in your gut, they eat the food that you eat, convert it into millions of very poisonous chemicals. These chemicals also absorb through the damaged, porous gut lining. So as a result, your digestive system, instead of being a source of nourishment for you, becomes a major source of toxicity in your body. A river of toxin flows from the gut, absorbs into the blood, absorbs into the lymph, gets distributed around the body. And wherever this toxic river gets to, it will cause disease. If it gets into your joints, it can cause rheumatoid arthritis or any other form of arthritis. If it gets into your heart, it can cause atrial fibrillation, abnormalities in the heart rhythm, and other problems. If it gets into your lungs, it can cause asthma, COPD, and other lung problems. If it gets into your skin, it will cause psoriasis or eczema or any other skin problems. Wherever it gets to, it will cause problem. It will cause a problem. My book, Gut and Psychology Syndrome, focuses on the brain, on the function of the brain, because this river of toxicity gets into the brain of the person and clogs it up. And depending on the mixture of toxins, depending on what happens in the brain will come up with symptoms, with a unique mixture of symptoms.
Yeah.
And that unique mixture of symptoms can fit into some established diagnostic box, such as depression, or bipolar disorder, or schizophrenia, or autism, or ADHD, or dyslexia, or something else. Or it may not fit, because you are unique and you have a unique gut flora, and the mixture of toxicity that will be coming out of your gut flora will also be unique. So people develop a mixture of symptoms. So people can become depressed, obsessed, personality changes, the sleep gets abnormal, the emotions are all over the place in a person, psychotic episodes might happen, learning ability reduces in a person, they can't focus, the brain fog sets in, all kinds of problems, whatever problems the brain can produce as a result of this toxicity. That is what GAPS is.
Yeah.
And I have developed a GAPS nutritional protocol for dealing with this situation. What we do with the GAPS nutritional protocol, and the core of it is diet, the GAPS diet. What we do with this protocol, we drive out the pathogens from the digestive tract.
How?
And reestablish normal gut with food.
With
With
food.
food, that's right, with food. We drive out pathogens. We reestablish normal gut flora, normal balance of microbes in the gut. And we heal and seal the gut wall. We close all those holes in the gut wall. In fact, we rebuild a new gut wall for the person. It takes several months, but we build new gut wall. Healthy, robust, strong gut wall for the person. So that river of toxicity stops as a result. And when it stops, all the organs in the body clean themselves up, because our human bodies have a wonderful ability to cleanse itself. We have a so-called detoxification system in our bodies, with the headquarters in the liver and departments in every cell of the body. It's a cleaner in the body. Your brain has that cleaner, your lungs have a cleaner, your heart has a cleaner. Everywhere there are cells which clean the body up. So when this river of toxicity stops, the toxins stop flooding into the body, all these organs clean themselves up. And as a result, symptoms just melt away and disappear. That is why, through my experience with the GAPS patients, I have found that all of this, most of this so-called incurable health problems are actually perfectly curable. As long as we work with the body, we trust that it is the body that heals itself. Not the pill, not the doctor, not the diet, not anything else. The body does the healing itself. So we have to respect its innate wisdom. It's a marvelous creation of nature, the human body. It's the pinnacle of evolution. Every program of healing, rejuvenation, repair are programmed into our bodies, and our bodies do it beautifully. As long as we don't interfere, we don't throw things at the body, and we treat the body with deep respect. We listen to it, and we give the body what it needs at the right moment. The first thing that it needs is good food, good nutrition. And that is what GAPS diet also does. It provides concentrated amounts of high quality nutrients. It's a nutrient-dense diet. And the diet is based on traditions, on the traditional diets that humanity has lived on for thousands of years on our beautiful planet, what our grandmothers used to cook, great-grandmothers used to cook. So all the recipes are natural. It is very important that for the person to recover from an illness, somebody has to cook at home. Every meal, everything the person consumes on a GAPS diet has to be cooked at home from fresh, natural ingredients. We do not use any processed foods, nothing in packets, tins, powders, or any other concoction. You buy everything in the shape and form that Mother Nature created. Then you bring it home and you cook it at home yourself, or your loved one may cook it for you at home. And that is what we eat on the GAPS diet.
Thank you. You make it sound so easy.
It is easy. Once you are into the diet, once you've learned all the major recipes, it's actually very easy. You don't have to cook all day long. And what I recommend to people, that every time you make a dinner, you make more than you would eat at one meal. So there are leftovers. Put them in the fridge, they'll keep for a few days. In a few days, you'll have a leftovers from Monday, and then a leftover from Tuesday, and a leftover from Wednesday. And you have a choice of things that you can take from the fridge and warm up, and maybe not cook one day. Just have a leftover night.
That sounds great. Are you also very much into fermented foods?
Absolutely. Fermented foods are not optional for human beings. Many people don't realize that. Because for most of our existence on this planet, we didn't have refrigeration, and we didn't have supermarkets where you can buy anything out of season. So when your cabbages, for example, were ripe in September, and growing cabbages is hard, you have to start in March. In order to get a harvest of cabbages in September, you have to work starting from March on this cabbage. And once they're ripe, and you harvest them, if you don't do something with those cabbages, they'll rot away in a couple of weeks, and you'll be left without cabbage for the rest of the year until next September. So what people did, they made sauerkraut. They fermented that cabbage. And the fermented cabbage, sauerkraut, will keep for at least 5 years. And every year it will become better and better. And what happens during fermentation, the natural bacteria that live on organic, natural cabbage will ferment it for you. All you do, you chop up the cabbage, you add salt there, natural salt, not processed, chemically processed salt from the supermarket. No. You will want natural salt, which contains about 92 minerals and trace elements in it, which Mother Nature gave us. And we need it to release the juices, and then we pack it into a suitable vessel, and we'll let it ferment for a month or two, and that's your sauerkraut. It's very simple. And during that process of fermentation, the bacteria will pre-digest the cabbage. They break down all the fiber and other elements in the plant, in the cabbage itself, which are indigestible for humans. Because plants, generally speaking, are difficult for humans to digest. Our digestive system is not designed very well for digesting plant matter. Fermentation makes this plant digestible for us, far more digestible. And at the same time, it releases nutrients into the mixture. For example, when you eat a handful of sauerkraut, your body will receive 20 times more bioavailable vitamin C than from the same amount of fresh cabbage that you might munch. Because in the fresh cabbage, vitamin C is locked in the cellular structure, and your digestive system is unable to get it out. It just goes through you and doesn't absorb. Where in the sauerkraut, the bacteria already have done all the work. They've released that vitamin C from the cellular structure into the juices, into the mixture. So when you eat that handful, you receive a large amount of vitamin C, bioavailable, which absorbs straight away. James Cook, the famous British explorer who discovered Australia, New Zealand, and half the world, he never had scurvy on his ships. That was 1700s, because they took barrels and barrels of sour cabbage with them. They knew that it prevents bleeding gums. In those days, they didn't know about vitamin C. They didn't know about limes and lemons and oranges, but they knew that fermented cabbage prevents bleeding gums. So his sailors never had scurvy, because it's a very rich source of vitamin C. The same happens with every other vegetable that we ferment. And with every mouthful of that fermented vegetable, you receive a large amount of probiotic microbes, a balanced mixture of good, beneficial, healthy microbes, which will kill and drive out pathogens, replenish the bacteria in there, and rebalance the whole ecology in your gut flora. So fermented foods are very important, and they're a major part of GAPS diet. And you can ferment anything. You can ferment fruit, you can ferment vegetables, meat, fish can be fermented, dairy can be fermented. Anything can be fermented. Beans can be fermented. And that's what people used to do around the world in the traditional cultures. Because through experience, people understood and learned that plants are difficult to digest. That is why they were looking for ways of making plants a little bit more digestible, a little bit more nourishing for themselves. And they found that fermentation is the best way to do that. It preserves the plant for a long, long time. So they can eat that fermented cabbage until next September, until next harvest. They can have it every day. And because people fermented everything, a large part of our diet for thousands of years used to be fermented. We were having fermented vegetables, fermented fruit, fermented dairy, fermented meats, because fermented foods keep for a long, long time. And since the advent of the food industry in the world, which only happened about 100 years ago, women got chased out of the kitchen, and gradually through generations, all these recipes got forgotten. All these traditional fermenting recipes got forgotten. And the food industry replaced all our traditional recipes with its own commercial recipes, which suit their commercial agenda, which produce the biggest profit for them. And of course, your health never enters the calculation. And that reflects in the health of the population in the Western world in particular, which is declining, declining very rapidly.
Well, we are finally seeing a difference here in Southern California. You can find fresh, organic sauerkraut now, kimchi, a lot of the fermented foods in the health food stores. But I grew up, and I grew up in Germany, and fermented foods is something that we would have daily. It's with every meal. It wasn't even something that it wasn't something that we would do to heal symptoms. It was just
to assist digestion.
Help you,
because they're great assistants. They've got so many enzymes. They help us to digest the meal.
Yeah, and then that helps also with weight loss, because when we digest our food naturally, we can also have a balanced ecology, body ecology, gut flora, but also it helps us with our metabolism as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. And your summit is about weight loss. There are many diets that one can follow to lose weight, and yes, you will lose weight, but many of these diets are unsustainable.
Right.
Can you live permanently on that diet? No. The answer is no for the majority of people. And as a result, the person eventually comes off the diet and regains all the weight and probably just run over and gain even more as a result. So this yo-yo in overweight community in the world is very well known. That people try different diets and they lose weight and then gain it again and then lose weight and gain it again and so on. When you're on the focus of the GAPS diet is health.
Yeah.
To make you healthy. And hundreds of thousands of people around the world now have demonstrated that if you are overweight, then you will lose weight, reach the normal level, and you will stay on that level. Because GAPS diet is easy to follow, sustainable, delicious, very satisfying, very nourishing, long term. If you were underweight, because you were not digesting and absorbing your food very well, that's why you're underweight. Because your gut flora is in a poor shape and your digestive tract as a result is damaged and it can't digest food properly. These people eventually gain weight and come to their normal shape and their normal weight. The healthy, the robust, the weight that you should have genetically, that your body is supposed to have. So you have plenty of energy and you feel positive and you look beautiful and your skin is clear and you're just healthy. So that's what it would do. For underweight people, they will gain it. For overweight people, they would lose it. But they will do it healthily through fixing all the metabolic problems that cause the gain of the weight in the first place.
And the healthier the gut gets, the healthier the brain gets. So there's no more food cravings. Everything is so much more in balance.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Are there any specific foods that you can tell the audience about that you highly recommend specifically for weight loss or, for the metabolism?
Animal foods with high fat content. The more fat you eat, the quicker you will lose weight. I know it sounds paradoxical for too many people, but the more animal fats, not olive oil, animal fat, pork fat, lamb fat, beef fat, goose fat, duck fat, butter, ghee, cream, sour cream. The more of these foods you eat, the quicker you lose weight, the quicker you will recover, and the quicker you will get rid of your cravings for chocolate, for sugar, for sweet things, for carbohydrates. Because people who are craving, they have an unstable blood sugar level. Their blood sugar goes through swings all day long, too high, too low, too high, too low. And too high causes behavioral abnormalities, and too low causes behavioral abnormalities. It is a major cause of bipolar disorder in our children and many adults too, this unstable blood sugar level. The fats will rebalance blood sugar levels for you. And the fat is a preferred source of energy for the human body. Again, contrary to popular mantra, it's not the sugar that the body wants for energy, it wants fat. Vast majority of all cells and tissues in your body prefer to use fat, animal fat, as a source of energy, not sugars. And animal foods are extremely important for us to eat. In my practice, because I worked a lot with mentally ill patients, I had many anorexic girls coming to me, and I quickly discovered that vast majority of these girls became anorexic because of vegetarianism or veganism. And that spurred an intense study into this subject. And the result of that study is my book called Vegetarianism Explained, where I explain the dangers of vegetarianism, particularly veganism, where I explain how animal foods work in the human body and how plants work in the human body. It's very different. It is important for people to understand that information before deciding to go on a plant-based diet. And unfortunately, plant-based diets are becoming more and more popular. The propaganda for vegetarianism is very strong and is getting stronger in the Western world. So if you're, any of your loved ones or people that you know are considering to become a vegetarian or vegan, please ask them to read my book first, so that they make this decision on an informed basis. If you're worried about animal fats, which I've mentioned, of course, we lived in for decades now in a world where fats were maligned and blamed for every ill and for every disease in the world, plus cholesterol. I've written another book to explain that situation called Put Your Heart in Your Mouth, what really causes heart disease and what we can do to prevent it and even reverse it. And in this book, I explain where this propaganda comes from and what animal fats do in the human body and what cholesterol does in the human body. Cholesterol is one of the most amazing and necessary molecules for the human body. We cannot live without it. No organ, no tissue, no cell in the human body can live without it. It is very, very important for all of us to consume cholesterol-rich foods, fresh cholesterol-rich foods on a daily basis. So to understand all of that, please read that book as well. All of my books you can find on my website, gaps.me, gaps.me, or my blog, drnatasha.com, dr-natasha.com. And if you want to cover those areas, they will give you all the explanation. The books are written in an easy to understand language, but at the same time, they're fully referenced for the professionals.
And thank you so much for all this amazing information. And I just love your books. I remember right when your first book came out, one of my clients came to see me and she says, Joanna, you have to read this book. And I said, okay, I'm reading 20 books right now. I don't have time. She goes, you have to read this. And she was suffering for hypothyroidism. And she had some other health issues, gut issues, so it helped her. And then the same day later on, another client came and told me about your book. So I got it and I started reading it, and that was years ago. So thank you so much for putting all this wonderful information out.
Thank you very much.
And I have one final question. Is there anything specific that you can recommend to the audience that they can implement every day that is easy to do in such a hectic world?
Remove processed foods. That is the first thing to do for any human being who wants to have any modicum of health. Processed foods are the major cause of every degenerative chronic illness in the world. Processed. which are foods which are made in big factories by involvement of big machines and chemicals and solvents and all kinds of things. So remove all of that. Cook your own meals. Even if you cook something that is not on the GAPS diet, but you made it from natural, fresh ingredients, your body will already thank you for that immediately. You immediately will feel better.
Yeah.
So what I recommend to people, stop buying your food in supermarkets. That is not a good place to buy food.
Yeah.
Find organic farms, mixed organic farms in your area. The best way to find them is to go to your local farmers market one weekend and just make contacts, talk to the farmers, get their phone numbers, and then take one weekend to drive around and visit these farms. See how the animals are kept. See how they milk, what kind of milk, what kind of breeds of animals, and then start buying your food directly from these farms. Surprising as it may sound, but there are thousands of farms all over the Western world, which are organic, mixed, real, honest, good farms, where animals and birds are treated with love and care and kept in the environment that Mother Nature designed them to be in. So they're healthy and happy animals. As a result, they give you healthy and happy meat, healthy and happy milk, healthy and happy eggs, and the plants are happy and healthy because everything is in rotation on these farms, so nothing, nature doesn't get damaged, soil doesn't get damaged, just the opposite. Everything regenerates very nicely. Find these farms because Western governments do not support them. In fact, they make their lives very difficult. And it is difficult for these people to survive. The only farms that do survive, which produce this real proper quality food, are the ones which have a strong customer base. People who buy directly from them without any middlemen. So find these farms, support them. And
yeah, I agree with you.
That's right. Your health will be rewarded. Your family will become healthy and strong as a result. And your money will be going to a good person who is doing something good, who is treating his animals with love and treating land with love and soil with love. And these are the kind of people that we need to support, not the big supermarkets which are stocked by the big chemical agriculture.
And by that, we're helping the environment as well because we're buying organic foods that don't have any pesticides,
Exactly.
GMOs.
Exactly.
And so it's good for the planet, it's good for us because we need to make a change here. We have too many chemicals, too many health issues. So,
I know it is so easy to just push a trolley in a supermarket and throw things in, you know, but then you pay the price. Your health pays the price, your well-being, your mood, and your happiness. Supermarket food will not make you happy. It will cause depression. It will cause all these problems. You want real food, and the real food only comes from real farms, from real people who produce this food, who produce it with care. And it's important to support these people.
I so agree with you. I so agree with you on that. That's wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. That was a wealth of information. Thank you for taking your time today. I'm honored that you took your time to talk today in the summit. And many blessings to you. And please keep up the wonderful work.
Thank you very much for your interview and thank you for your work.
Thank you.
Thank you.